All right, so today we're not just going to skim the surface of a fantasy world's history. Nope, we're going deeper. We're going to deconstruct how that history is actually built from the ground up to feel ancient, to feel lived in, to make a story feel like just one tiny piece of a much, much bigger universe. So, what is it that gives you that feeling? You know the one. That sense you get when you're reading Tolkien. That Middle-earth was around for ages and ages before any hobbit ever set foot out of the Shire. It's not just about having a long timeline. It's a very specific, very powerful feeling the author creates. You know, the writer Lynn Carter put it perfectly with this idea of a misty valley. It's not about showing the audience every single detail. It's about showing just enough to hint at this vast, complex world hidden in that mist. A world that feels like it keeps on going long after you've closed the book. Well, this feeling actually has a name, the illusion of depth. It's the art of making a world feel like it has a history that exists just beyond the page, just off screen. It's the ruins of old civilizations, the songs about forgotten heroes, all those little details that aren't strictly necessary for the plot, but are absolutely essential for making the world breathe. Okay, so let's really get into this. We're going to use the world of Starbound Hearts as our blueprint. We're going to peel back its history layer by layer to see exactly how this amazing illusion is constructed. So the first layer, and honestly the most powerful one, it's always personal. The best world histories aren't really about armies and empires. They're rooted in these incredibly intense human emotions. And in Starbound Hearts, the conflict that echoes through centuries, it all starts with a single tragic love story. So let's meet our key players, Queen Silviana of the Lunar clans and King Malachar of the Shadow clans. Here's the thing, they were lovers long before they were mortal enemies. Their story is the emotional core of this entire world's history, a bond between light and shadow that was completely shattered by ambition. See, Malachar became absolutely obsessed with becoming immortal. He betrayed their love and started a devastating war just to steal Silviana's power. And in her final desperate act of vengeance and grief, Silviana didn't just defeat him, she cursed his entire bloodline for all eternity. And this is the crucial point. This curse isn't just some ancient lore tucked away in a book. It's a daily, agonizing reality for our hero, Kael Darkstorm. This makes a centuries-old tragedy feel immediate and personal. The history isn't just backstory. It's the monster he has to fight every single morning. Okay, so now let's zoom out a bit. Let's move to the next layer and see how this all builds up. A personal tragedy feels so much bigger when it's set against the backdrop of a massive, society-shaping ideological war. This is where we go from the personal to the political. Way, way before Silviana and Malachar ever entered the picture, there was something called the Era of the Great Separation, which saw the rise of the Solar Inquisition. And these guys weren't just a nation, they were a fanatical ideology. They believed that any magic of night or shadow was an impurity that had to be burned away. Their goal? Nothing less than a world without darkness. And that ancient holy war? That's the reason the Shadow clans were pushed into hiding in the first place, why they're so feared and hated, and why the whole world is so fractured. It provides the deep-seated prejudice that makes a relationship between a lunar healer and a Shadow Prince seem not just unlikely, but totally impossible. All right, now we go to the deepest layer of all, the one that underpins everything else with this sense of cosmic significance. This is the myth. This is what explains the fundamental nature of the universe itself. So get this, in Starbound Hearts, all those warring magical factions, Lunar, Shadow, even Solar Fire, it turns out they're all just splinters. They're fragments of a single original star magic that was unleashed when a primordial star shattered at the dawn of time. Suddenly, their war isn't just political anymore, it's cosmic. But here's the thing, that cosmic explosion didn't just create raw power. Nope, it created a language, a code, written into the very fabric of the world. And this is where it all comes together so beautifully. See those spiraling patterns on their skin? Those aren't just tattoos, they're an Asemic Script, a visual language, a code born from starlight. The cosmic myth is literally written on their bodies. Okay, so we've got our three layers, right? The personal, the political, and the cosmic. But the real magic, the true art, is when you weave them all together. You create this world web, where pulling on a single thread makes the entire pattern shift. So here it is. This is basically the blueprint. You start with a creation myth that defines the rules of your universe. Then you build a tragic history on top of it, creating these deep wounds that your characters have to heal. You layer in an ideological war that explains the political landscape, and then, and this is the most important part, you connect them all. Think about it. Kael's personal curse, it comes directly from his ancestors' tragic love story. That tragedy was only possible because of the political climate created by the Solar Inquisition's ancient war. And all of their powers trace back to the exact same cosmic mythic origin. That interconnection, that is the secret. That's what creates that powerful illusion of depth. And this image right here, man, this just shows you why all this work matters. A moment like this feels epic, not just because of the cool magic, but because it's the climax of thousands of years of history. We are literally watching two lovers fix their ancestors' mistakes, end a societal war, and rebalance the cosmic forces that created their world in the first place. You know, in the end, even Queen Silviana herself, the one who cast the curse, gets it. The solution was never about one side winning. It was always about healing the rift between them. And that, right there, is the real beauty of a world built this deep. The end of one story is just the beginning of another. By healing the wounds of the past, Elara and Kael haven't just ended a conflict. They've created a whole new world, with countless new stories just waiting to be told.